Hello folks, this is video 1 of 2 on the Cave Story universe. It falls under the new format, but not nearly as in-depth. This is by all means a very short game, yet it does lead into the next video. With that said, this is Ikachan. Released as freeware in the year 2000 by Daisuke Amaya, who goes by the name Pixel Online, Ikachan was a mere tech demo to his passion project, Cave Story. The style, music, and world built all contributed elements to that game's eventual release, story, and distribution. In 2012, the game was remade and released on the Nintendo 3DS by the indie publisher, Nicholas. Despite that being arguably the definitive version, I'll be sticking with the original release, as it's free and I don't want to spend another $5 for this less than 10-minute review. So, how does this tiny inkling of a test turn game fare? Let's find out! The player begins in an underwater cave with only one rule: swim. I won't lie to you, I was kinda like a fish out of water for my first few minutes. Or I guess like a bird in water, given the context. You press the action button, in my case Z, to swim. Pushing it will slowly jolt you forward, with more subsequent presses speeding up your momentum. Learning to maneuver and adjust to the slightly awkward controls will yield some satisfying movement though. These fish scattered across the sea will raise your experience counter by 1 for each, and leveling up will increase your total energy and strength. In case you take any damage that's in need of immediate attention, the clams scattered across the world will restore your energy and give you a save point. Saving is the only way to restore progress in this game, as autosaves weren't really a common feature at the time. Interacting with the enemy beside the first clam, they explain that this realm is controlled by a monstrous fish named Ironhead. As earthquakes have become frequent in the area, the tyrannical trout requires that all residents of his domain carry a pearl around to signify their loyalty. Considering that we can't exactly leave our current spot at the moment, the game subtly pushes us to the right, where within the remains of a dead fish lie the spiked hat. This helmet allows Ika to break through sponge blockades and damage previously invulnerable enemies. For being so small, the game is almost Metroidvania-like in its approach to the world's layout. The upgrades you find, whether intentionally or unintentionally, can be used to go further in an area that you were unable to access before, which is really clever and impressive for a game of this size. Now, there is still a linear approach, the map is only so big, however, backtracking between places is very prevalent, meaning that each inch of the world is used, which I can appreciate. In the tiny habitat to the north, anemones give you clues on where to go and what to do. The father of a young girl named Pinky asks for our help. During one of the earthquakes, his pearl would become lost to the sea, meaning that he could be attacked if found out. Thus, we offer to help find his missing possession. A giant tremor rumbles, and a new part of the world is accessible. It's a little tricky to go through unscathed, but I won't let that stop me. We run into a lackey of Ironhead, a sentry waiting to unleash his cronies on those from stranger ties. When he realizes we don't have a pearl, his boss fight begins. Of course, with a game as simple as this, you can't really make a boss with in-depth patterns and mechanics. All you do is run into the star creatures with your helmet one by one until the sentry yields. Beating him brings us full circle to the enemy's home. Since we can't progress at the moment, the best course of action is to find Ironhead, or I guess in this instance, his right-hand man, Carrie. He says he'll take the suka bread we got from the sentry fight straight to Ironhead, but the stammer in his voice says otherwise. Demanding more food, the game becomes a series of fetch quests at this point. We get him a shrimp cocktail, crab soup, and a globefish platter, all by using this nifty pearl he gave us. Actually, it isn't supposed to be ours. Carrie picked it up when the shopkeeper lost it during the previous earthquake, meaning that we can't get the globefish from him. Well, I hope your daughter dies in the next earthquake. And just in time, another earthquake strikes and Pinky's mother urges us to check on her to see if she's alright. Fine. Unfortunately, we get trapped inside the cavern, but using my skills of cheesing invincibility frames, I make it to the other side where I get the capacitor. This little beauty allows movement to be held down for a second, ramming in any direction we choose. This is especially useful for the sponge blocks that can only be hit from the side. Using it as a means to get past what blocks our path, we come right back to where the sentry was, and this made me truly admire Ikachan. The world is seamlessly connected to its surrounding areas, and if you know me, I'm a sucker for details like that. The sprite work is so simple and the music doesn't change, which you would think makes it harder to identify where you're at considering the lack of an in-game map, to which I say, yeah, it would have been nice. But the unique presence of structural landmarks and hazards denote where you're at any given time, meaning that you can't really get lost. The music is more atmospheric for this kind of thing, which is weird coming from a title of this era. There's a certain catchiness to its own unique Organia composed melody, yet that piece is the only thing you hear aside from the boss music and title screen. The simplicity is effective, making it really cool to still understand where to backtrack to. Incidentally, remember that sponge block at the beginning of the game? Probably not because it was only in the video for like 5 seconds, but behind that is Ika's old friend, Ben. He tags along with us to find a spaceship, which will help us escape the place. We use our capacitor to save Pinky and return her to her family. Indebted to us, her parents give us the globefish we so desperately needed. I take back what I said. I'm sorry. Giving it to Carrie, the meal poisons him, and the way to Ironhead is now open. Make sure you've grabbed all the fish you possibly can get up to this point, including the secret storehouse after receiving the capacitor. Being at a high enough level is the only way you'll be guaranteed to damage Ironhead. After landing the final hit, he praises our cleverness and sends us off back to the storehouse. In the back area is a ship that will not only help us escape the uncharted waters, but launch ourselves into outer space. By revisiting every place we've been to prior, the residents found in each location board our vessel. Even Carrie and Ironhead come on board, thus ending Ikachan. While the journey was short, the destination unimportant, what mattered most was the experience and result from this game. 4 years later, Cave Story would be officially released to the public, but I'll save my ramblings on that for next time. Thanks for watching, and until we meet again.